All right, there are a few very fundamental concepts that I'm going to be sharing, and this is one of them that have have had a profound impact on me related to living with anxiety, thriving with anxiety, and so I want to share that here. This one is called intentional life curation. It's kind of a clunky name, but it's what I've come to call it. I've also heard it called a life formula, a life equation, where the concept here, the idea is that if you very specifically bring into your life and intentionally bring into your life all of the different elements that you know that you enjoy, that are meaningful to you, that and this is my belief, that anxiety cannot exist in there, or if it's going to exist in that life, it is going to be diminished dramatically in its power. So again, the idea is to push out anxiety by crafting a life that you absolutely love, but doing so intentionally. So the reason some people call it a life equation, which makes sense to me, is that you're saying to yourself, okay, if I add this plus this minus this plus this, and I like the pluses better than the minuses, because really what we're doing is saying to ourselves, what is it that I want to add in here? But I think it can also work to think about what we don't want. But I do think it's more important to think about what we do want. And then we identify and add all of those things up to equal what it is that we want to equal. And that is a choice that I'm going to do a different video on. That's a choice for us as well. Because some people might say, well, I want all of those things to equal happiness. I might say, which I do, I want all of those to equal ease. For me, that word just really works well with how I want to live my life. But there's many different choices for what people can put in their life between the pluses, but then there are also maybe not an infinite number of choices for what they can put after the equal sign or what you can put after the equal sign, but there's going to be a lot of different choices there. So that's something to think about. I'll do a different video, as I said, on what comes after the equal sign. But in terms of what are the different elements and what do I mean by being intentional and being specific, for instance, and there's hundreds of things that you can curate into your life, and it's really up to you. I'm going to give you a few different ideas here. Also in the shared Google document, you can get the link to that in my bio. You can see me starting to build out in writing my life equation, my intentional life curation here. I've kept this a lot in my head, and I'm just now, over the last few years, starting to be more intentional about writing it down. I've been intentional about adding and subtracting things from my life, but I haven't been as intentional about writing them down. So I'm going to start doing that for all of us here now. So one of the elements that would be between the plus signs would be our beliefs. So what specifically do we believe and why? I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of examples here, but it could be beliefs about politics, about religion, about work, about family. Again, you get to choose. But instead of just haphazardly adopting beliefs of other people or other institutions or of society or of families, other families, but us very specifically and intentionally choosing the beliefs and then, at least in our mind, documenting them. But ideally, I think if we write them down in some manner, then it becomes more real and we've committed to it more. It's become actually more intentional. So I would encourage that. So beliefs are one thing, and the more specific you can be, the better. Another category of example is, where do you live? What part of the country? What part of the world? Do you live in the city? Well, which city? Okay, which neighborhood? And always ask the question, why? Why am I living in this city? Why am I living in this neighborhood? Not to the point where you drive yourself crazy, but at the very least to make sure that you've made an intentional decision that where you live, down to the neighborhood and the apartment or the house or the shared living or whatever you're doing, that you've made that decision intentionally. What else? Music. What kind of music do you enjoy? And for me, it has evolved over the years. And that's another idea here, is that these are not static. This is not a static construct that you're putting together. This is something that is going to change over time as you experience more, learn more, become wiser. Hopefully, that's what we're doing. Notice more about what you like. So for me, there was a period of my life, about 20 years, where all I would listen to was reggae. And I still love reggae very much. But I came to notice that I really love roots reggae. So I was very specific. And now that has evolved into country music, and also very specific type of sad country music. And there are some threads that flow through there from reggae to sad country music. And so it's not necessarily this upward evolution of our beliefs, but it is more just or not beliefs, but just all these aspects of our lives. So it's not an upward movement necessarily, although ideally we are evolving in an upward direction. But some of it, like music, is more just noticing what you truly enjoy or what connects with you deeply. What do you want to experience, and how does it make you feel related to music or beliefs or where you live? I know I'm just going to give a couple more categories or examples here. Another one would be nature. People are always talking to me. I live in the Pacific Northwest, in the Seattle area, about going hiking. I don't mind hiking, but I don't love hiking. I don't need to be in a forest. It doesn't really do anything for me. And there were times where I felt sort of bad about that. Well, why don't I like hiking? Is there something wrong with me? But what I've recognized is, as it relates to nature and what I specifically want more of in my life, is saltwater and sunsets. So the smell of saltwater, the looking at especially the colors, orange and burnt orange, the sunset colors, just connect with me deeply. And so nature, what I am interested in as it relates to nature, may not be what other people stereotypically want to go and enjoy. For me, it is saltwater and sunsets, particularly burnt orange colored sunsets. So you can extrapolate this out, obviously, into many other categories in your life, and I would encourage you to do so. This is a practice of noticing as you go through your life, just noticing, oh, I don't like that. I like this, or I don't like that specific type of music as much as I like this very specific type of music. And again, going back to what I said at the very beginning, if we do this in as many aspects of our life as possible, first of all, it's a very enjoyable process because we're incorporating things into our life that we just thoroughly enjoy. But anxiety just tends to move out of that space. It doesn't mean that it never enters, but when it does, I have all of these things that I've added into my life that now I can go to the moment that anxiety comes in, and I can push the anxiety out. So hopefully that's helpful. It's been an important foundational element for me in my life.